go ahead and turn off your camera.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone, and welcome to the Materials Interest Group session for AATCC. And today we have special guest Guy Carpenter from Bear Fiber. His presentation today will be on US grown hemp and the hemp industry in America. And hopefully we'll hear some great updates and some progressive ideas from Guy on an ancient fiber coming into the US market. We're very pleased to pass it over to you now, Guy, if you would like to take it away. Oh, and by the way, also, if there are questions, please put them in the chat. And Apurva and I will, at the end, go through each one by one, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, well, am I coming through audibly? Okay,
we
great.
We can hear you, great.
Well, thanks, I appreciate this opportunity. Let me go to, I'm getting requests to admit people. Am I supposed to have that power and responsibility?
I'll do that, Guy, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, share. Let's see. I got this done earlier with
yeah, you have to remember on the bottom.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Okay, is that working?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. However, I'm not getting, well, I don't need my notes anyway, do I? So first off, thanks to AATCC. Appreciate this opportunity to talk about American hemp fiber and textiles and where we are now. There's some great people working in this area here in the United States in a lot of different areas, from agriculture through mechanical processing, through chemical processing, and into fiber, yarn, spinning, textiles, etc. We started in 2017, and I think that makes us, as far as domestically, I think that makes us one of the oldest. Textile grade fiber, as you know, hemp is a bast fiber, and the fiber is extracted from the skin of the plant rather than the hurd or the inside woody shive. In this particular picture, you can see some examples of the actual stalk. Next is hurd. Next is decorticated raw fiber. Then is the refined raw fiber, more refined, both mechanically. After that is the degummed fiber, 2 grades, in a darker brown and a lighter brown, and then the degummed fiber in a bleached fashion. You know, people say there's 25,000 uses for hemp, and I'm sure there's that and more. People talk about not just being able to do certain things with the hurd, the woody shive, but also with the seed as a superfood, the oil, also biorefinery, in terms of not just cosmetics and soaps and all, but now they're even talking about being able to extract high octane fuel from the lignin, which is extracted during the degumming process. And that's all really interesting stuff, fascinating. But you know, I've got a really small little brain, and my life for the past 35 years has been devoted to one thing. So I pretty much ignore all of that and go right to the hemp, stalk, bast fiber, textiles, apparel, and fabrics. And that's pretty much the subject of what I'm speaking about today. I don't have the expertise, the knowledge, and insight to speak upon all the other different uses, but I know a little bit about this part. From here, From here, we talk about I'd like to talk about the value chain. And what's interesting about our value chain is, if you think about it and you apply it to the cotton value chain, is so many similarities that exist. We start with agriculture and farming. However, beyond cotton ginning and the separation of the fiber and the cleaning of the fiber from the seed cotton to lint, we have that mechanical processing, yes, but then we have to go through other refining processes mechanically. And additionally, to create finer yarns, the fiber needs to be degummed, chemically processed, so that it can fit within the cotton spinning systems. A lot of people think cottonizing refers to making hemp like cotton. Maybe it does to some. To me, it never has. It's referred to, for me, cottonizing refers to the fact that you're allowing it to fit easily and smoothly into short staple yarn spinning, of which, of course, all are focused towards the execution originally of spinning cotton fiber. Textile development, of course, comes next, and apparel manufacturing. As far as right now, we're growing more and more textile grade fiber across the United States. And I've been taking in samples from literally all over the country. The interesting thing that I've found is all of these samples are more or less workable. Some more than others so far are able to be degummed and refined to a state where finer count yarns can be spun fairly simply with them. Some are not. Some, if they don't go through natural retting in the area where they were grown, it requires much more remedial treatment to get down to the cellulosic fiber that we can work with. Agriculturally speaking, it's pretty well accepted that for textile grade fiber, we're optimally looking for stalks that are basically the size of a number 2 pencil, a chopstick, and about 6 to 10 feet tall. That's where we're going to get the greater proportion of fibers that we can use for textiles. These pictures show a little more closely where we get that fiber from. You can see in the far right picture the split, which shows the fiber, and the herd in the center. From this fiber, or from the stalk, we look at the cuticle or epidermis, which is not really, with retting, it really doesn't come into play. That's taken care of during the retting process. It's degraded. The fiber separates and starts to become ribbons or bands of fiber, such as you see in the top left picture. Those green segments, that's basically, each of those is a ribbon of fiber. On the right-hand side, you see as they're dried and as they separate more. The retting process deteriorates the pectin, which binds the fiber to the herd itself, and also degrades and rets or rots the lignin to some degree, which is the gummy substance binding the fibers together in bundles or ribbons. It's a process in which microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, start a natural process. It doesn't cost anything. We refer to this as dew retting, field retting. There's also water retting, and it doesn't have to be something that's necessarily not sustainable, particularly if it's recycled water in the whole process. On the upper right-hand picture, you can see different shades of the stalks after they go through retting. And the fact of the matter is that the darker the better. The fiber is going to survive pretty much anything. And even if it looks like you've lost a lot of material, because you've gone through a deeper, harsher retting, you're probably going to be harvesting the fibers that you would have harvested anyway, but without having to do much of the mechanical processing on. Decortication, which is after the retting, the dried stalks are put through machines, and they're either breaker separated, which is a series of flutes on it that pull, pinch, twist the stalks, and the hurd falls away. Or they're also hammer mills, which have flutes which come down one within the other. I'm not a fan of hammer mills because they tend to put indentations into the fiber and sometimes cut the fiber itself. And I want to preserve fiber length as long as possible until we have the decision to make on where to shorten it or not and how to shorten it or not. The right-hand picture shows the original decorticator, the original industrial decorticator, patented by George Schlichting. I always have a problem with that name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And you know, if he had been about 150 years earlier and beaten the cotton gin to the punch, there's really no telling what our textile and apparel industry would look like today. The next step within the refinement process is degumming. And degumming is basically taking away everything that is not the cellulosic fiber. Almost. You want to keep a certain amount of lignin on the fiber and within the fiber. It does contribute to the tenacity of the fiber, and also it contributes to the ability to have the longer fibers, which can be from 1.5 inches to 3 inches long. I'm not too worried about 3-inch fibers that get through degumming because the card's going to take care of that, the cotton card, and the blending later on. Even if we're not blending with cotton, but we're tri-blending or whatever it might be, the aggressive nature of a cotton card is pretty much going to shorten those fibers no matter what. There's a lot of ways to do degumming. Alkaline, hydrogen peroxide, enzyme, fungal, biochemical, chemoenzymatic, cryogenic, osmosis. Anyway, there's like 3 dozen or more, 4 dozen or more, and they're all on the internet. You can check them out yourself. I've done most of them at one time or another. The most efficient, effective, and environmentally sound so far for me and my customer base has been using a little bit of caustic and alkalinity. It's much less powerful than scouring wool. I tend to think of it like a heavy shampoo. The idea is to loosen the lignin, pectin, hemicellulose that's still on those fibers, and to wash them away before they resettle after you've loosened them. And that's basically heat and pressure. My standards for raw fiber that we've developed so far, and you know, this is an ongoing thing. I learned this craft in China, but they have different equipment and better equipment than we do here, specifically for hemp. And using the equipment we have here, what seems to be working so far in the range of specifications is if I get a bale of fiber from somebody, I'd like to see the fiber lengths basically around 1 to 4 inches, but there will be ribbons that are longer. That's just a fact. And that's okay. Degumming will take care of that. I say 10% variance. Diameter, we don't have a way to measure diameter or to really measure average length of fiber. The Ooster machine and the Avis machine don't work for hemp fiber. They don't clip it fast enough and hard enough to be able to give us the ranges. But basically we're trying to get it to be like somewhere in the physical nature of cotton, and that way it's just going to blend better on the spinning system. 2% herd trash is okay because there's not a decorticator in this country. Well, there's not a decorticator anywhere that can get it 100% clean. You have to go through different refinement processes for that, and you have to do it. Herd just makes inferior yarn. It's just contamination. And of course, 100% grown in the USA. Here's some examples, some pictures to show you that, for example, diameter of the stalks. The lower left-hand picture is a picture of stalks waiting to be decorticated in China. And those mountains are about 4 stories tall. And the middle picture is bales of fiber in China. It's long staple fiber. And then, of course, stalks in the right-hand picture. So I did this a while back, and this is just an example. I apologize for how crude and unprofessional it looks, but it's what it is. Chinese grade A on the bottom left, hemp fiber. Where we are at our best degummed American hemp fiber on the right. Above that is more degummed American hemp fiber, but a different variety and from a different part of the country. Both those two degummed American hemp fibers use the exact same degumming formulation, and you can see the difference in the fibers. The one in the upper part is not nearly as fine as what's in the lower part. It's more bleached out, but it's not nearly as fine. However, it's good fiber, and it's good for, 8s to 18s, maybe even 21s. The bottom, we've been able to spin 30 singles consistently with that. The middle left is U.S. upland cotton. The upper left is U.S. Pima cotton, and upper right is raw hemp. That one piece of yarn that's lying across is approximately 2 inches for all of these things, just to give everybody a look at how long they are. Some of the stuff we've done in development, basically we've gotten better at spinning. And we've gotten a better CVM, and we are getting better and better. One of the main issues within it is cleaning all the herd out before we start spinning. And you have to be careful because the more you clean, of course, the more short the fibers are that you end up utilizing just because of mechanical breaking. Carding, let's see. Most of the time we use intimate blending for carding. We use carding for intimate blending. There are other ways to blend, but we don't really have the systems in place here in the US to help with that. Some more stats. Hemp, retted hemp, degummed hemp, and cotton. These are what we got, and we don't do it all the time. I don't pay to have everything measured all the time. Mostly, we just go for yarn that meets the specifications and is as smooth as we can and consistently even as we can make it with the least amount of hairiness. Some more stats. And reviewing one time that while here we don't really have a national institute to help us study and move forward with all of this, NC State's been doing a lot, as has Cornell, as has Oregon State, as have some member associations and all. But the Chinese have helped me a lot. They taught me everything I know. They have 3 civilian research centers to study hemp and hemp fiber, and 1 military institute that does nothing but look at hemp fiber for military application. And rumor has it that their production rivals that of the entire amount of civilian hemp that's grown in China. They use it not only for socks and underwear and t-shirts and uniform wear, but also for accessories that are used, like an Alice kit and other stuff, that rather than using polypropylene or nylon or any of the man-made fibers because of the way they might melt, the Chinese have gone for natural fiber in a big way. I'm showing again, I've showed this before, but in 2018, I attended a conference at the Changsha Institute in Changsha, the IBFC, Institute for Bast Fiber Crop Research, their 60-year celebration. And out of all those people, and those are speakers, those are just speakers, I was the only American there. Patagonia did an LCA on fiber utilization in China specifically 2.5 years ago. And to boil it all down, if you grew hemp on a plot of land roughly 10.1 by 10.1 feet, and you process it all the way through the system, at the end of the day, you'd get 2.2 pounds of yarn, of 100% hemp yarn. The results of that were done specifically to ameliorate the rating that hemp had on the Higgs index. And of course, the Higgs index has come under a lot of fire in the past couple years. Hemp was rated at the bottom of it as a natural fiber. And in any case, I'm not sure what's changed with the Higgs index at this point, but I know that hemp's a good natural fiber for us all to use. Thanks everybody for taking the time to listen to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions if I might know the answer. Let's see here.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Guy. I have the first question I just posted here, and I encourage everyone else to write questions in the chat section that we can ask Guy. The first one is, are there any roadblocks to knitting or weaving hemp yarns in the US? And are brands asking for it yet?
Well, first, let me make sure I've done everything right. If I stop sharing, is that all good?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any roadblocks? Hell yeah. I mean, geez, every day. But right now, with the main thing is cleanliness of the fiber as it goes to spinning. Because if you don't have clean fiber, you don't have strong yarn. Other issues include if you don't degum properly and the fiber is still too stiff, the ends stick out, and you've got hairiness, and you get a huge amount of shedding and fly in the air during knitting, and just a huge amount of shedding during weaving also.
And are
But
brands starting to ask for hemp fabrics in the US yet?
Yeah. It calls for 1,000 pounds, 2,000 yards, more or less, that's being woven here in the United States for Vans and the BF Corporation. And I'm looking forward to working with other brands within that corporation of BF and a number of other brands that aren't, that would like to expand styles into incorporating American hemp fiber.
Thanks, Guy. The next question is for me. How does hemp behave in non-woven form or in blends? What's a good fiber to blend hemp with?
Well, I can't speak to how it behaves in non-woven form. I don't know. As I said, my level of skill is limited to simply yarns and such. My brain's just not that big. Hemp blends really well I know it blends really well with cotton, tencel, polyester, basically any fiber you can think of. I've been doing this about 25 years in China, and I have fabric books. I have 3 swatch books that are about 70 different blends in each book, and we blended with everything from yak hair to whatever you want. Some things were not good, milk fiber. I'm not a fan of milk fiber. But cotton, all the others are fine. The issue is, spinning, we like consistency and we like evenness of yarn. And cotton's already a natural fiber and not even in and of itself. And when you take another natural fiber that's not even and you put them together, you have challenges. If you use synthetics or viscose, you have the chance to even those out, both with ring and open end. I'm a fan of vortex, false fake twist, whatever you want to call it, because of the evenness that can bring to the yarn that we struggle to meet. But can we do it? Yeah, been doing it for years in China and other places. I mean, Italy imports Chinese fiber now, and they use that blend, particularly with the wool and silk, with a lot of the designer fashions.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Gangsan. The maturity of hemp plants is key to fiber quality. US hemp is grown for seeds today, not for fiber. Do you have any ideas for that? Maturity of the hemp plants.
Yeah, I don't use fiber from stalks grown for seed, and we grow a lot for fiber. There's 500 acres in Montana that's being grown specifically for us, and has been grown and was grown, and we've been growing it in North Carolina, specifically textile grade fiber from Chinese varieties. I'm a bigger fan of the Chinese varieties than I am the European varieties, because the European varieties, and they're all great, but Europeans don't grow cotton either, and they don't have short staple spinning and the way that we do in the United States. And the future of the fiber is linked very closely to blending with cotton, not only because it's the cotton value chain and the availability and commonality of it here, but also we grow superior cotton to most of the rest of the world. I've blended it with recycled poly, with everything, but textile grade fiber grown here, just this past year, I think there were over 11 different Chinese varieties that were test grown around the country, and probably 9 or 10 different European varieties grown specifically for textiles, which means you cut the stalks before or as they begin flowering, but certainly before they flower and certainly before they go to seed, because you don't want those fibers in the bottom third of the plant to mature and become more rigid to hold up the weight of the top of the stalk.
Okay, and the next question is from Michelle Wallace. You showed a yarn that was blended with cotton. What is the minimum and maximum hemp percentage that can be used?
Well, in China, almost all of it's 55% hemp and 45% cotton. But that's only done to avoid the duty on 100% cotton goods coming into the United States. There was no other reason for that blend percentage to be used. I found in the testing we've done in yarn and textiles that we can significantly increase or enhance the positive attributes of strength, durability, abrasion resistance in yarn and fabric with 30% hemp, 70% cotton. And because there's a scarcity of hemp fiber, I haven't tried to increase that. Once there's more, then and if there's a demand for it, we'll certainly try it, and it would definitely enhance strength abrasion resistance, and a number of other features. But we just want to make a better, we want to add value to the yarn and the textile and whatever that garment might be, and we can do that with 30% easily.
Has the majority of your yarn production been the short staple spinning? Have you done any like rayon processing to create a like a lyocell type fiber out of hemp?
No, they've been doing it in China. There's a hemp viscose, and it's smooth, silky, soft, and okay. I've never been a big fan of it or used it much because there's other viscose fibers that are superior to it. And I don't like it's not like there's demand, but it's not like there's unlimited demand. People want a better garment or a better textile for it. And hemp viscose, even blended with hemp fiber or blended with cotton, doesn't give you any particular advantage. You're not making any, it's not that cheaper. It's not cheaper, and it's not better. So it is smooth, shiny, and silky, but not as much as bamboo rayon, if that's your thing. So no, I haven't done it, and I'm nobody in the States some people are doing research into it, and there's no telling. American ingenuity and innovation is going to be what makes this bigger here than it has been in China so far. I have no doubt someone will find a way to make a hemp viscose or whatever that has a property which makes it more valuable to the market. I hope so.
Let's see. Over to you, Apurva. You want to ask the next question?
There's a question from Michelle. Do you know if hemp has the same health and safety concern, in parentheses, brown lung, with hemp as with cotton?
Yeah, I'd say it does. I mean, people, if you don't have good people, you got nothing. And if you don't make sure they're going to be okay and healthy, you're not going to have anything very long. And it's a natural fiber, so of course it's going to shed. It's going to break. It's going to have small particulate. There's going to be fly in the air, this and that. Absolutely. You need to be super careful, particularly in the decortication. The guy like IND Hemp out in Montana, I don't know. I don't actually know how much it cost. I know it was more than $1 million, I think, and closer to 2 probably, just for their air control systems. Because that's where it gets really dusty, when you're breaking up the dry stalks to separate the fiber from the herd.
Guy, what's the general cost difference between hemp fiber versus like a conventional cotton fiber?
Well, it's kind of tough to say long term. Of course, all the fiber right now is based upon a development cost, which is not a true commercial cost. But I can tell you this. In China, grade A hemp fiber is around $4.50 a pound. That comparing with the cost of cotton there is, of course, much less than about $1. Like, we'll call it $1. So it's probably about it's probably going to stay about 4 times whatever the cotton price is, until innovation in agriculture and ingenuity figures out ways to lower the cost of some of the processing that's required to bring the fiber to yarn stage.
Apurva, next one.
Yep. So you mentioned, Guy, vortex spinning. Do all airjet solutions suit cottonized hemp or the blends? Or are there any advantages of particular manufacturers like Ryder, Murata, etc.?
Well, that's a really good question. and I wish I could answer it with authority, but I can't. I can tell you that we've had successful open-end spinning. That's for sure, and not something that I see as a stumbling block in the future. We've had successful ring spinning, and that's not going to be a stumbling block moving forward. And compact in both of those types. The one opportunity, the 2 or 3 opportunities we've had with Vortex, Mach Twist, whatever you want to call it, we need some more development. It's not, we're not processing the fiber well enough yet, and part of the challenge is also that the fiber is not the raw fiber that we receive to date has not been of a quantity from the same source that allows us to provide a consistency to move forward into yarn spinning. I mean, it might be 1,000 pounds or 10,000 pounds from here, 5,000 pounds from there, 500 pounds from here, degummed separately. I mean, we really haven't. It'd be nice to have the same fiber that was grown in the same variety of hemp that was grown in the same place, that was all retted uniformly, that was decorticated well and clean, and then we could do the same degumming process on that to move forward into spinning. I think that's going to be happening this year. We have that opportunity this year, but to be honest, we really haven't had it before. I will say that in the Far East, it looks to me, and I may be wrong, probably am, but it looks to me like when you look at what people are investing in as far as spinning goes, a lot of people are investing in Vortex spinning. As far as new technology goes in spinning, and the opportunity to capitalize on the opportunity to be more even in the yarn CV itself because of the mechanical, because of the way that just works with Vortex, and also depending upon the blend and what you're blending with, the opportunity to perhaps build even greater strength within the yarn mechanically. It's not just from the enhanced utilization of hemp fiber or whatever it might be. That sounds pretty interesting to me. But the answer to the question, which I think was why go for Vortex, is I just got a hunch that's going to do better.
Guy, are you focused on commercializing US hemp in wovens or in knits or both?
Both. You know, if you want to work with brands, and my career has been in production around the world, and if you want to get a brand's attention, you spin a consistent, high quality 30 singles yarn. If you can do that and get their attention, be it knit or woven, then all the other stuff kind of falls into place behind that.
And are all your mill partners currently in the US as well, in North Carolina?
North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. I'm agnostic, as long as it's within the borders of the United States.
Any other questions from the audience?
Just a quick question. Do you still have to be licensed to grow it in the United States?
Yeah, but it's not like it was. I was on the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Commission pilot program in 2017, but I was the agribusiness commissioner, and I think that's just because they couldn't find anybody else who'd ever made an honest dollar out of industrial hemp before. We turned over authority to the USDA this past year, and decommissioned ourselves, I didn't see any point in having another body of making rules on top of the USDA. All we could do would be to make it more difficult in North Carolina if we kept our commission. USDA rules are fine. They, hemp's not a big deal. Right now, we're going for an exemption on testing for hemp grown for grain and fiber, because why do you need to test it? It's certainly not marijuana. I mean, you'd have to smoke a couple acres, and then you'd die before you ever got high. And it's good for animal feed. It's good for people. I mean, they sell it in Walmart. I don't know why you can't feed the seeds to animals. The oil's good, but we don't need. It doesn't need to be tested for THC. That's just crazy. We'll see how things evolve. In fact, to be tested with USDA, the testing's actually done from the flowers, and if you cut it before it has flowers, it's kind of a gray area,
All right. Any more questions? All right, that looks like it. Guy, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and presenting on US grown hemp. It was a fascinating presentation, a lot of good conversation there. I want to encourage everyone also who's on the call or who's at the AATCC Center in Raleigh, that we do have the next couple of days of the research committees for test method development. So if you haven't signed up for those yet, please go to the website and sign up. It's going to be a couple of days of really good conversations there as well. And of course, if you have any other suggestions or ideas for material interest group webinars, virtual or in person, please reach out to Apurva and myself. I'm Christina Rappa, Apurva Banerjee. We are the chair and the member at large for the material interest group at AATCC. So that's it. Thank you everyone for joining.
Feel free to contact me if somebody comes up with a question later. I'm out there on the web.
All right, absolutely. Thanks, Guy.
You bet. Take care, y'all.
Thank you very much.